Hello, everybody. We're very excited to welcome you to this, our online podcast. This is our third edition, and we are very excited about this topic. Before I introduce our guest, I would like to tell you that if you have missed one of our previous podcasts, we invite you to go and check them out and come back and listen to this full podcast because we have a very exciting topic in our hands. So we're going to introduce our guest, Nicolas Deleye. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Correct, yeah.
Nicolas, the floor is all yours.
Thank you for the invitation, Jorge, and really great to be here. So indeed, my name is Nicolas, and I'm the International Business Development Director at Flen Health. What does it mean? Well, at Flen Health, we operate in 7 markets in Europe directly with our own affiliates, with our direct sales and marketing teams and resources. Outside these 7 markets, we work with distributors, with international partners. And that is the part of the business that me and my team are managing. So we are basically covering the world except the 7 markets where we operate directly in. International business is never boring, as you can imagine. So I'm really looking forward to share some insights in what we do during this podcast.
Let's dive right in. From your perspective, what are some of the biggest global trends currently shaping the wound care and medical devices market?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, from my perspective, I can see 2 big trends, and in fact, they are closely connected to each other. The first one is cost pressure. It's a fact that healthcare budgets are under pressure. Worldwide, people live longer. Chronic conditions like diabetes are increasing, and the treatments become much more expensive. Think of like the cancer treatments nowadays that are very expensive. So basically, the current funding can no longer cover these increasing costs. And that is why today it's no longer enough for a product to be clinically effective. Companies need to prove real economic value. And that means not only looking at the unit price of the product, what is the price of 1 box of Flaminol, for example, but looking at the total cost of care. So including the nursing time, the number of dressing changes needed, hospital readmissions, etc. And the second trend is the shift from hospital care to a community and home-based care. 1 day in a hospital is very expensive, as we all know. So health systems are trying to move the treatments outside the walls of a hospital towards outpatient clinics, community nurses, or even patient self-care. So in the end, it all comes down to money, moving to better treatment outcomes at a lower total cost for the society. And the companies that can clearly demonstrate this, both clinically as well as economically, they will be the ones who are going to win, I believe.
Very interesting. Thank you, Nicolas. Continuing on this area, are there any regions or markets that you find particularly exciting or promising for Flen Health right now?
Yes. The most promising market for our international department right now is definitely Brazil. We launched Flaminol there last year, and we are now fully in launch mode, which is really exciting for us. Another market I would like to highlight is Saudi Arabia. We've been present there for quite some time now, and we have good market access, but the performance hasn't been where we want it to be. And last year, we therefore ended the contract with our local distributor, and we are currently transitioning to a new partner. They're a very well-established advanced wound care company, and we have very high, big expectations for what we can achieve together going forward.
Sounds very exciting. And if we stay in the international territory, expanding internationally is never simple. What are some of the main challenges that you encounter when entering new markets?
Yeah, correct. Expanding internationally is indeed complex because no 2 markets are the same. Simple as that. The biggest challenge that we are encountering are regulatory approvals and market access. As you know, our healthcare industry is highly regulated. Regulatory approvals are necessary and required before we are able to bring a product to the market. Unfortunately, every country has its own regulatory framework. The requirements in countries like China or Japan are substantially different than in Europe. So even if we have successfully registered our products in Europe under MDR, it's not a guarantee for us to be able to bring them to these other markets as well. But the regulatory approval is only half of the battle. Reimbursement is another hurdle. You need strong clinical data and more health economic data to demonstrate value to the payers, just as I explained in the previous question, Jorge. And examples of markets where we are facing this challenge are Poland and South Korea. Without successful reimbursement, we'll never capture decent market shares in these markets. So, international expansion is not just about putting your products on a container, on a ship, and sending it to the other side of the world. It comes with plenty of hurdles, but that makes it exciting at the same time, I believe.
Yeah, indeed. And staying on that particular area of challenges, how do you deal with the differences in regulations, as you mentioned, healthcare systems, and cultural ways of doing business?
Yeah, they often say that setbacks are part of life, and they are definitely part of international business. When you operate across different regulatory systems with different cultures, things almost never go exactly as we planned. What is important then is to stay positive, resilient, and what I try to do is to anticipate challenges by thinking one step ahead and by always having a kind of a backup plan in mind. Regulatory timelines can shift, reimbursement discussions can take longer than expected, requirements can change along the way. And in these situations, it is important to be prepared and to be flexible. And then when it comes to cultural differences, this comes with experience, I guess. You learn along the way that doing business is not conducted the same way everywhere. For example, in China, a meeting often only begins at the dinner table and not in the meeting you had in the office before. Yeah, the restaurant is the place where trust is built and where the more sensitive, difficult topics are suddenly being addressed. So to answer your question, for me, it's about good preparation and understanding the formal rules, the regulations, the systems, but also the informal rules, how relationships are built, how decisions are being made, because everywhere in the world, business is done via relationships. I strongly believe in that.
Very interesting. And speaking about building relationships, export success relies heavily on local partnerships. What makes a distributor or local partner the right fit for Flen Health?
Yes, absolutely, Jorge. You can have the best product in the world in the most attractive market of the world, but if your local distributor isn't the right fit, the sales will never fly. That's exactly why we've developed what we call our ideal partner profile, which is basically a list of criteria that a potential partner needs to meet before we even start working together with that partner. I won't go through the full list, but one element is absolutely crucial, and it is, by the way, a core Flen Health value as well: joint accountability. With this, we mean that we ask commitment from our partners. It's about sharing the same ambition, having a proactive approach, taking ownership, putting focus on Flen Health, and having a passion for our company, Flen Health. So we don't just work with anybody. We work with partners who share our vision and our ambition. And honestly, that is probably one of the reasons of our international success as well.
Fantastic. Along those lines, Can you share a memory or memorable example of a partnership that really helped accelerate growth in a market?
Yes, the best example I can give is probably our market entry in Turkey, where we basically grew from 0 sales to 1 million within just a couple of years. The key success factor was the listing of Flaminal on tenders under a unique product description, but this combined with the Turkish tender system, which worked in our favor. When you won a tender, the awarded tender quantities were guaranteed. And in most other markets, if you win a tender, for example, for 10,000 units, it means hospitals are allowed to purchase up to 10,000 units. But the full quantity is not guaranteed. Where in Turkey, however, the 10,000 units were effectively purchased once the tender was awarded. And this provided, of course, immediate volumes and immediate growth for us. Unfortunately, the system has changed in the meantime, but it was important for our initial expansion in the Turkish market.
Wow, very interesting. I hope everybody's enjoying this chat as I am, because it's very interesting for someone that is not part of the export market or the markets to understand a little bit more about that. When you look at a world map, how do you decide where to focus next? What drives those strategic choices?
Yeah, we work with a clearly defined list of priority countries where we want to win in the future. And this is not the list of our dream holiday destinations. The list is based on two criteria. First, the size and the potential of the market. Of course, you want to focus on the bigger, the more interesting markets. And for that part, we rely on data, smart track data to understand the potential market volumes and also the growth trends of each market. But secondly, we also look at how easy or how difficult it is to access the markets. I mentioned this earlier. We look at the complexity to register our products, how difficult it is to get into the reimbursements or to enter into tenders, etc. So in fact, what we do is we're balancing opportunity with feasibility, and we give priority to the markets where we see high volume potential, but also a market entry without too much headaches.
Fantastic. And how important is local market insight when shaping your export strategy?
Yeah, good point. Local market insight is absolutely critical when creating an export strategy. As a small but strong team, and we are small, we are 4 people basically, it is simply impossible for our small team to have full insights into every single market around the world. And that is why our local partners, our local distributors play such an important role, because they provide us on the ground knowledge. And typically what we do is we start with the data-driven country selection, and we define our initial focus markets, like I explained in the previous question. But once we engage locally and we gain deeper insights, the picture sometimes changes. A country that looked highly attractive on paper may turn out to be much more complex in practice, or vice versa. Sometimes the opposite happens. So basically, our strategy is not fixed, it's dynamic. We combine our long-term strategic plan with local intelligence, and we are adjusting our priorities as we learn from the markets. And I believe that flexibility is very important for us to continue to grow.
Indeed. Now, let's touch a little bit on team collaboration. As you mentioned, your team is 4 people. But when we speak about internal alignment, how does your team collaborate with departments like marketing, regulatory, supply chain, and R&D, for example?
That's a very good observation, Jorge. When you look at what it takes to bring a product to market and export, we basically rely on practically every department at Flen Health. For example, the legal team supports us during contract negotiations, of course. And after signing a new contract, a new agreement, our products must be registered with the local health authorities. So without our regulatory and our quality teams managing this part, there is simply no sales. R&D as well. Some of our target markets have climates that are much warmer or more humid than in Europe. And without stability studies conducted by our R&D colleagues, our geographical reach would be far more limited. Supply chain plays a very important role as well. If production isn't planned in time, we would have no products to sell. Simple as that. And also marketing, launching without high quality marketing materials would substantially reduce our impact. And I'm probably forgetting other departments here. Finance, for example, to collect the payments, to get the money. And so export success is never the result of one team alone. It's a collective achievement, and it depends on the collaboration with many different departments and many Flenners. And I want to take the opportunity, in fact, to thank all the Flen Health colleagues for the great support that we're getting.
Fantastic. Thank you. And yeah, indeed, it sounds like a big puzzle, and every department plays a piece of that puzzle, and it comes together.
Exactly.
How do you balance global strategy with the realities and the needs of local markets?
Yeah, for this, we localize. So we take a local approach. We do have a global marketing strategy for our products. And at the same time, we also recognize that every single market has its own needs. And that is why we work closely with our local partners to adapt materials and to adapt the messaging to the local needs. But at the same time, we ensure that our brand equity, our brand identity and recognition remains consistent in the whole world. When Flaminal is presented, for example, on a booth of a congress at the other side of the world, it needs to have the same look and feel as when it is being presented in Europe.
Interesting, and good that people are paying attention to that. So very important. In terms of innovation, and if we start looking into the future, so innovation plays a big part, or is a big part of Flen Health's DNA. How does it support international growth?
Yeah, for a company like Flen, it's important that we compete on added value and not on price. Because competing only on price is a battle we're never going to win. And that is why we need innovation. We focus on developing patented formulations that provide real benefits to patients, and which then also allows us to position ourselves in a unique way in each single market. And a great example that I can give on this aspect is the upcoming next generation Flaminal, which will enable us to protect and grow our market shares further internationally.
Fantastic. Thank you. And looking into the future, what opportunities and challenges do you see for the export team?
Yeah, well, Jorge, international business is very unpredictable, unfortunately, and I don't have a crystal ball to predict the future yet. But that being said, I think the biggest challenge I see is the increasing pressure on healthcare budgets worldwide. It makes it harder and harder to get products included into reimbursement and tenders. And I expect that there will be an increased need for health economic studies to demonstrate the cost effectiveness of our treatments. We've tackled this already a number of times in this podcast. And I keep on repeating myself, but I strongly believe that this will be a game changer. And honestly, we can see this as an opportunity as well, because if we as a company can successfully generate the necessary data, we have a unique, or we will have a unique positioning in the market.
Indeed. Thank you. To wrap up, how do you describe, or how will you describe the role of the export team in supporting Flen's Health's overall mission and global impact in wound care?
Well, that's an easy one to finish, Jorge. The motto of our company is to help patients live the life they love. So in line with this motto, the motto of our export team is to help patients worldwide, with the emphasis on worldwide, to live again the life they love. So our role is basically to ensure that more and more patients around the globe can access Flen Health fantastic products and can benefit from faster wound healing. And of course, the world is big, so we still have work to do before every patient actually has access. But every day we work hard to come closer to this final goal.
Fantastic. Great to hear. Thank you so much, Nicolas. It's been my pleasure to have you in this podcast. Any final words?
No, thanks for having me, Jorge. It was a pleasure for me as well, and I hope this has given some insights to our Flen Health colleagues and outside Flen of what we do in the international department.
Indeed. Thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners. We invite you to check all of our podcasts. We publish a new podcast twice per year. So check back. And see you until next time. Thank you.